Welcome to the second lecture of design of reinforced concrete structures. We shall consider in this particular class that materials, because that is the part we have to consider materials, the properties of materials, particularly concrete and steel as a reinforcing material, that we have to consider, and then only we can go for design. So, we should know the limits of the materials which we are going to use. That is why it is very important to study materials. As I have told in the last class, that concrete is made by mixing cement, fine aggregates, coarse aggregates and water, and the proportion also I have shown as just as a schematic one, that coarse aggregates, sand, cement and water. I have already told in the last class, just to repeat this one, just one or two slides. We shall come to the one that is called the workability. Workability, that means the concrete, the fresh concrete, or we call it say green concrete, that one that it can flow. You can mix it and you can put it in any way, you can put it and you can get any shape, that concrete. So, the thing is that we can say that it should be workable. If you add less water, then it will be almost say dry. So, then what will happen, that you cannot get the required shape, it may just simply immediately it can break. If you have more water, then it can flow like fluid, then also it is difficult to get the proper shape. So, workability is very, very important so far the concrete that casting concerned. So, what we say workability, a concrete which can be readily compacted is said to be workable. The amount of useful internal work necessary to produce full compaction. The other way we can say that amount of useful internal work, we mean to say the between that aggregates, whenever you are compacting that one, that concrete. So, between the aggregates, that means there is some say friction, internal friction between the aggregates as well as the form work, that where you are placing the concrete, for that also you need that internal friction, that you have to work on. So, for that how much that internal work you have to do, and on the basis of that also we can say that workability. Now, according to ASTM definition, this is a very, very standard that code definition of workability, the property determining the effort required to manipulate a freshly mixed quantity of concrete with minimum loss of homogeneity. So, that means this particular one, whenever we are talking this one, I think we can put it here. So, this one what we can do actually, that for concrete, that coarse aggregates, for coarse aggregates, that you can make it so that it will be homogeneous. That means that one portion that your concrete will not be there, that coarse aggregates, or other portion sand, all those things. So, it should be that it should be homogeneous, that whole concrete that should be there, and that is according to ASTM definition. We can go to, that is another one, that American Concrete Institute, they are also having their another definition that we can find out. So, this one, that ACI definition of workability, property of freshly mixed concrete or mortar which determines the age and homogeneity with which it can be mixed, placed, consolidated and finished. So, this one is the definition of that workability according to ACI. So, these are the two important bodies in our say so far that materials concerned. For any standard actually ACI as well as your say other one we can say. So, you please repeat, I repeat once more so that it will help you to note down. So, property of freshly mixed concrete or mortar, it can be concrete as well as it can be mortar. Concrete means you are having say cement, sand and coarse aggregates, and mortar means cement and sand, that is only fine aggregates. So, these are the two things that mortar we use for say placing say bricks. So, that is one that where we use say plastering, there also use mortar, which determines the age and homogeneity with which it can be mixed, placed, consolidated and finished. So, finally, you will get the finished product. So, that one we can consider that one workability. So, it is very important one that so far the concrete concern, that workability is an important property. So, that and also it is required say there are say so many bars. Last class I have told you that bars, there are so many say your steel bars are there, and that you have to place your concrete, that coarse aggregate will go in between those bars. Otherwise, if there is a void, then concrete will become weak and the whole structure will become weak. So, that is why that is very important one that you have to consider, by which you can consider that workability. Now, another part is called that consistency. The SEI definition, the consistency is the relative mobility or ability of freshly mixed concrete or just a minute. Consistency is the relative mobility or ability of freshly mixed concrete or mortar to flow. This is measured by slump. So, other way also we can consider that we can find out the consistency of concrete, we can find out, and that how we can measure the consistency of concrete, that we can find out by slump. Now, what is slump? That we have to find out. So, what is slump? That we have to find out. So, I repeat once more, the consistency is the relative mobility or ability of fresh mixed concrete or mortar to flow. So, we can find out, just getting the consistency, we can find out that how we can make it workable. The other way, indirect way of measuring that workability. So, we can measure by slump. So, measurement of workability, that is by slump test, is used extensively in site. We are talking in site, after all that concrete is cast in the site itself. So, we have to find out the workability, that we have to find out from that your say slump, and this is the one, that slump test is used extensively in site work all over the world. So, we use it extensively, this particular one, that test we use it. So, what is the slump test? There is a mold for the slump test, is a frustum of a cone 300 millimeter high. It is placed on a smooth surface with the smaller opening at the top and filled with concrete in 3 layers. I repeat, it is a mold for the slump test. The mold for the slump test is a frustum of a cone 300 millimeter high. It is placed on a smooth surface with the smaller opening at the top and filled with concrete in 3 layers. So, we can go that, let us see that what is exactly it means, because I think one photograph is sufficient to tell lot many things. So, this is the one, that cone, the frustum of a cone, which is extensively used in our structural engineering laboratory. So, you can find out that your say cement paste, all those things are still it is there. What is this one? You can find out this cone which is having say 300 millimeter height, and there is a opening, and at the bottom also we are opening, and we can use these 2 handles. What we do it actually, we pour concrete here in 3 layers. We pour concrete in 3 layers, and then we just place it here, and then we just simply lift it. We lift that one, and then concrete will come out, and from there we can find out. So, let me tell you this way. So, this is your slump cone. This is a smooth surface, a slump cone. You are pouring concrete through this. In 3 layers you have to pour, and we have to make 25 strokes that we have to make. Each layer is stamped 25 times with a standard 16 millimeter diameter steel rod, because we have to do some kind of standardization. Why we are doing that one? That we are using 16 millimeter diameter steel rod, and we have to just heat it like this. We have to heat it like this we have to heat it, that bar, 16 millimeter bar. So you place concrete and then you heat it 25 times, that is one layer. Then again you pour concrete, again another 25 times, again you pour the third layer, and then you finish it off. That over this particular one you finish it off. Over this you just finish it off, this particular one. Now when it is done, you just take out with those 2 handles. You take out that cone with those 2 handles, then what will happen? You will find out if that concrete, that one say the proportion is such that almost say solid, then what will happen? You may get the same type of cone, first term of a cone. If the concrete, that water poured, that one that mixed properly, so that means you can get the shape even if you take out that one. So then we can say that we are having this particular one, that means we are having 0 slump. There is no slump, it is not coming down. We can say there is no slump, but it may happen like this also. It will go out, that means it will try to flow. Then we can say the remaining one, this particular one, that is the slump. It may be 5 millimeter, 10 millimeter, 20 millimeter. That means more slump, more workable. That means more slump means more workable. That means you can work with that one, you can work with easily, but you do not know whether you can achieve the strength or not. That's a different issue. We are talking regarding workability of concrete. That means if we get the more slump, then we can say we are having more slump means more workable. Now this particular one, whenever we are talking this particular one, so that's why for design mix, when you have to mix the design, then you have to specify the slump also, that how much slump do you need. That is one important criteria, because of that what you have to do actually, we generally consider that one is called nominal mix. I have told say M15, nowadays M15 actually not allowed as per IS 456-2000. The minimum grade permitted, that is M20. M20 means 1:1.5:3. Similarly, M25 means 1:1:2. So if I say, just let me repeat. So initially that M15 was there, so that is 1:2:4. 1 cement, 2 sand or fine aggregates, 4 coarse aggregates. M20, 1:1.5:3. M25, 1:1:2. These are called that nominal mix. What we shall do actually, this one irrespective of that say grade of say your coarse aggregate, fine aggregates, all those things, we can just simply use this one, cast it, and we can do our design. But other alternative is called that mix design. You can design the mix, that what proportion, it will come closer to this one for a particular case, but we can exactly, you can design that what type of coarse aggregates you are using, from which river bed you are using the sand, that sample you can take it, the coarse aggregate you can take it, because you do not know the proportion of coarse aggregates, it may be different. it is not according to say IS, it may be something different. So, those proportion whatever available, because it is not possible that whenever you are doing that bulk casting, it is not possible to go that make it according to say your IS specification. So, whatever available that coarse aggregates, on the basis of that you have to cast it. So, that means you take the sample of coarse aggregates, you do the sieve analysis, you find out the proportion. Similarly for sand also, similarly for cement also you find out the cement test, and also you have to specify the slump, that how much you need that workability. So, on the basis of that one can design and one can achieve the target strength, and that could be used for your that actual say your design or actual at site, that we do it at site. This one not required for design, because design means we are saying okay M20, but before that we should know where we really stand. That is why I am keeping this particular class for materials. So, coming to this particular point, so we have got this particular one that we can do the slump test, and so what I have already told these things, already I have told, so I shall not repeat. And you can see that description of workability. So, this particular one, no slump, that 0, very low, we will say 5 to 10, workability say low 15 to 30, medium 35 to 75 millimeter, high, the one high workability when you are considering that 82 to 155 millimeter, very high workability, that means it will that simply it can flow, that means 162, that almost it will collapse, that means say 300 millimeter is the height of the cone. So, that means it will almost say you will find out that as if it is flowing. So, that means it is very high, obviously it is easier to work with water, that so for the particular one you can consider. So, similarly that when it can flow, so it is very high workability. So, this is the one that you can say qualitatively we specify, not exactly, it is not possible to get the exact value of the workability, but we give the range. Okay, within this if we get it, then we shall consider one particular case. That means in other way you can consider as if we are having that little bit fuzzy, in that particular way, that gradation we can consider that particular one. The other aspect is the durability, because workability is the one aspect, the other aspect is durability. So, what is durability? Concrete should maintain its required strength and serviceability. You please note, I am repeating this particular one, that one is the strength I am talking, the other one is talking say serviceability. So, these are the two different criteria which will go hand by hand, that holding hand by hand, that say strength and serviceability. So, concrete should maintain its required strength and serviceability during the expected service life. So, a structure is designed for a certain life, for a certain say few years, 50 years or 100 years. So, we expect that it should be durable, at least it will withstand that particular load for which it is designed, it should take care of that particular load. Concrete is said to be durable, concrete is said to be durable if it withstands the process of deterioration to which it can be expected to be exposed. So, obviously the concrete which is cast today, obviously it will deteriorate over time, we can't help it, that we have to accept it, but even then this particular one, it should withstand that particular one, even if it is exposed to different environment. That means that what we can say actually in this particular case for concrete, if the concrete is say porous, then water will enter through that particular one, if that other way I can say permeability of that particular concrete. So, water can enter through that, and then what will happen, then you will get that say corrosion in steel, that is the dangerous part, and then it will be oxidized, and then it will be bulged, and then it may that crack, lot of other things will appear. So whenever the concrete is exposed to concrete, so that particular thing, so even if it deteriorates, still it will sustain, that it will withstand that particular load for that expected life, that whatever the for which it is designed. So workability is one aspect whenever you are casting that one. The other aspect is the durability. Now coming to this particular one, that is compressive strength. So compressive strength, that we consider, I have told cubes, we also use cylinders, and after they are hardened for 28 days. So we test cubes or cylinders. In that American code, that ACI they specify they go for cylinder, but in Indian code we go for cubes. So but we use cubes and cylinders both. In our laboratory also you will find out we shall cast cubes as well as cylinders, but our code goes as per the cube strength. During the 28 days before testing, the cubes and cylinders are stored under water or placed in constant temperature, constant room temperature maintained at 100% relative humidity. Generally we do that particular on cubes, we just simply put it in the water. We have say storage, say reservoir, and that simply we dump the cubes, and we before testing we just simply take those cubes. This is the one, the standard thing we do it, and that we shall do it for the compressive strength. We shall find out on the basis of cubes and your say cylinders, we shall find out, and we shall do it after 28 days. Generally we do it on the 28th day itself, we test it. So coming to this particular one, I think I can show you one graph that is very, very important. Because this is important that we have to find out. So we have say strain, we have strain, and we have stress. Now we have different type of concrete. What we can, if we test it, that concrete cubes, what we shall find out actually concrete cubes, so we can measure the stress and strain. In other way, you can find out say your deflection and the applied load, the load applied and the deflection, because say it is 150 millimeter cube say, so we can find out the deflection of those two, that how much it is compressed. So from there we can find out the corresponding strain, and we can find out the applied load, and since we know the contact area 150 by 150 approximately, because after casting it may happen 151 by 152, so that we exactly we measure for a particular cubes. So generally it is 150 by 150 by 150, but the surface, the top surface and bottom surface, it may be 151 by 151, 151 by 152, so that we measure. On the basis of that we can find out the corresponding stress. So applied load divided by the corresponding stress, and on the basis of that we can find out the stress strain curve. This is the important part for any material, that you have to find out the stress strain curve. So we can find out like this. Say something, it can go like this. The other one, it can go if the concrete that one say higher strength, then we can go little more also, say like this. This one we consider say low strength. Let us say this one say medium strength, and let us say this one high strength concrete. So, just it is worth mentioning, generally it happens say M20 up to say M25 we use it for say reinforced concrete, say generally. Say for pre-stressed concrete we take it say M35, M30. For say your pavement, that concrete pavements, we use it say M40 grade. So, for different application we use different kinds of your say strength we use. Now, this is your the stress strain curve, because this one will give us, we shall go when we shall go for actual design, but in actual practice that if you test it, then you may get this type of say your stress strain curve, that you will get it, and that one only you can get it from the experiment, because there is no other way that you can find out theoretically. For steel also you have to do the similar way, you have to find out the stress strain curve. And you can find out another thing that is called, say let us say for this particular one, I can find out that, so let us say EC, that modulus of elasticity of concrete. So, that is also another part we have to find out. So, EC, that say let us say modulus of elasticity. So, the stress strain curve, from there we can find out what is the modulus of elasticity and what is the behavior of stress strain curve, because at a particular strain we are interested to find out the corresponding stress. That is very, very important, that we have to find out when we shall do our design calculation, and that is why this stress strain curve is so important.
Sir, the modulus of elasticity will vary according to the stress strain, because it is not.
Yes, so we are taking the initial one, isn't it? That is the one we take it every. If you consider this particular one, say second modulus, lot of other modulus will get it. So at different points you can find out the different that say modulus of elasticity that you can find out. But here we are taking that from the initial one we are considering, and that we shall use it. And we shall find out that since concrete, from concrete we shall find out what should be the corresponding modulus of elasticity, how much you have to take, that we shall get it from IS 456. Regarding steel, the tensile strength, generally it is 8 to 10% of the compressive strength it comes. For our case, actually for concrete we shall just simply ignore the tensile strength. We shall assume that concrete will not take any tension for our case, for our design, that it will be taken care of by your steel only. In other way I can say, in other way one interesting thing, that when we are talking that particular one, then what is the, what we are going to assume? If we say that, then we are assuming, let us say this is your section, this is a section we are talking. If we look from this side, then we may get say member like this. Let us say there is a bar here. Let us put say a proper boundary, though the detailing is not like that, but let us consider for the time being, since we have not gone to that level, let us consider that this is the section, longitudinal section, and we are having this bar. I could put it some other color, of course. Let us say this is your say steel bar, and though the support is not like this, but let us provide the support with which we are familiar. We are familiar with this support, let us say, and let us apply a load. We can apply load. Then what will happen here? We can find out, we have to find out the bending moment. if this is P, then this one PL by 4. Okay. So what happened here, that means if we apply this one, the top one will be compressive and bottom one will be tensile. So we are assuming, when we are assuming that concrete will not take any tension and only the steel will be, steel is sharing that part, it means that there are cracks here, there are so many cracks here. That means there is no connection between that concrete. So then only I can say that steel is only taking, because if there is no crack, if that is say the continuous, that means concrete also taking the load. But since I have already assumed that okay, only steel will take, that means I am assuming that we are considering cracked section, and the section having, there is a neutral axis here somewhere, not the center line, neutral axis here. Above neutral axis it will take the compression, and bottom whatever concrete is there, it will not take any tension, the steel will only take that particular one. That is the assumption we are doing for that particular case. But anyway, even then, coming to this particular one, just for your reference, here we consider that this is only we can get it from experimental observation, that 8 to 10% of the compressive strength that we can achieve, so far that your say tensile strength concerned. Another part is called that biaxial strength. Another part is called the biaxial strength. What is that? That one is called, if we take one element, and then this is the corresponding stress. So we are taking in the whole body, we are taking a particular point, and there we are finding the what is the corresponding stress in two directions. So F1 and F2, these are the two stresses, and how it interacts. So that one also we can find out, and that is called actually that biaxial strength we can find out. To get it, generally we get it like this. We shall come again in detail in later stage. Just to give you one schematic description, this one is called, say this is your say tension, and this one also tension. We are plotting that one say tension, and here this one say compression. What we shall get it here, because since concrete is very weak in tension, so we shall get very less component here. The other side, so we can go like this, and this particular one because this side it will be more, that compression side it will be more. This is the one, that zone, the limiting zone we are talking, that whenever we are having one element, if you remember your say solid mechanics, that failure theories, if you remember that failure theories, there you will find out that you would say there are say principal stresses sigma 1 and sigma 2, let us say here F1 and F2. What happened here, this particular one, we can make it this one say F1, sorry, let us say this one since I have already done it, so F dash say F2. Just F dash C is the failure load, that maximum that compressive strength that particular one it can take, which we can get it from that cube strength. So that is your F dash C, and this is your F2 in one direction, and this side we are getting say F1 by F dash C. What we can do it here, this particular one here, so we can find out the zone, that how far it will go in tension and in compression. If it is say whenever we are talking biaxial, that means both axes could be tensile, both axes could be compressive, one axis tensile, other axis compressive, and vice versa. So that means these are the four possible cases can occur whenever we are talking say biaxial strength. Let me write down that one, that biaxial strength. So far I have told for cube that is uniaxial strength, because we are just simply applying load and we could find out that what is the corresponding that failure load, maximum load it can take. Now if it happens that one say biaxial, so then it can have compression tension, compression compression, tension compression, tension tension for all four possible cases. Then since concrete is very weak, that is why you are getting smaller zone. If it goes beyond this, it means that it will fail. So this is the zone within which that concrete is safe. If we have this particular one here, this particular zone, we can say that you say tension compression. Similarly here also we are considering symmetry, say tension compression, and this side we are having maximum because concrete is very that strong in compression. That is why obviously we are getting more in this. So this one useful to find out where we are having that biaxial stresses, that loading applied in two direction, then it is very useful. From there we can find out the failure load. The other important part, that is called creep, because I have started telling that one say compressive strength, tensile strength, then biaxial. Now we are talking say creep, because this is important because it is time dependent. Creep, that is time dependent. So both axial and bending deformations of reinforced concrete members increase with time. So deformation will increase with time. So it may happen that particular one. What we can do, just I can show that one with another curve. So we can say maybe we can consider that age, that is say in months. Let us give heading say creep. So what happens here, we have cast the, and this one say deformation. So if we start with say, let us say this is 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, 8, 10, say 12, like that we are going. Now what happens here, that if we cast it today, we can apply load after 28 days, that means almost after 1 month. So, and we have applied the load, so immediately there will be say elastic deformation. We have applied load, so immediately we shall get that say elastic deformation, and then it will start over the months we may find out say curve say something like this. We are having a constant load and the curve may go in that particular fashion, where it will keep on deforming and it will go like that. This one say under constant load. So, it may happen that we are considering one reinforced concrete beam, say 3 meter or 5 meters reinforced concrete beam, and there at the middle say we have applied certain load say 5 ton. Immediately we shall get certain deformation, deflection, we can measure the central deflection, and that one say we are getting this much, that deflection we are getting this much. When we are getting this particular deflection, now if we keep that load, even then it will start deforming, and that one due to creep, but load is applied the same load say constant load say 5 ton for example. Now after few months, if we take out that load 5 ton, then what will happen? We shall get the elastic recovery, but it will not come down to 0. It will not come down to 0, even if we take say after few months, if we just take out that load, it will not come down to 0, because immediately if you take it out then it will come, but we are taking it after say few months. So this is your that non-recoverable that deformation. And that we are getting due to creep. That is a time dependent phenomena that we are getting, that is due to creep. So yes, it comes almost same. Whenever you shall come to that particular design one, you should find out it will come almost same, almost equally you will find out in that range, and that one you can say empirical based on experiment observation, but that we shall find out that particular aspect later on. Oh no, we have come back to so much. Just a minute. So the total deformation is divided into two parts: an initial instantaneous deformation that occurs with the application of load, a time dependent deformation termed creep that continues at a decreasing rate for a period of years. So that means we have to consider at least 1 year, you have to consider that particular one. At least I should start here in this particular case say at 12 I should make it. Here I should make that particular curve, say here at least I should make it at you say 12 months, so that we can say that particular one. So if we could, so please note that particular one say curve which I have told earlier, here we should make it at the 12 months. Okay. So this is the one that creep we are considering. The other one that creep, another one is called shrinkage. So this is your another aspect that concrete, as the moisture evaporates, the concrete volume shrinks. The shortening per unit length associated with the reduction in volume due to moisture loss is termed the shrinkage strain, or just simply we consider shrinkage. I repeat, as the moisture evaporates, the concrete volume shrinks. The shortening per unit length associated with the reduction in volume due to moisture loss is termed the shrinkage strain, or simply shrinkage. So creep and the other one we consider shrinkage. These are the two things that you have to consider in our say your calculation.
Could we please see the slide in which there were two parts of creep?
Yeah. Okay. So, one is that you would say initial or instantaneous deformation, and other one is the time dependent deformation termed creep. So, generally we consider for at least for 1 year we consider this particular one we consider. So, I shall continue. Okay. Okay. Now, almost we have finished that say materials part that we have finished, because now we know, and also for steel also we shall consider, also for steel that we shall also consider, that we shall go to the one that what our IS code says. So, now the thing is that now we are coming that okay, we know the limitation that by which we have to work. That concrete is not so simple, but is really sometimes is really a nuisance also. But even then, that almost say 90% of the work we do with the concrete only. And concrete also another aspect that you would say another part that is a maintenance also, that is also another important part. So, workmanship of concrete, if it is done properly, you can see that the work is done. Say for example, that say now it is a new building, but anyway that our main building, if we consider our institute main building, if you consider that you will not find any crack. It's really, that means you can say that workmanship of that one, it was really good. Whereas say sometimes you will find out in any new buildings anywhere, you may find out say that cracks, all those things are there. That means there is say some kind of say you can find out the difference in the workmanship. So, if it is done properly, it will really withstand the load, and it will be there forever, for so many years, even that expected life, whatever way it is designed. So, coming to the point here, even then since 90% of the say our say that civilization, that one constructed by concrete. So, there is no such other material also, and the concrete is really good other way also, and it is really you can work lot many things. It is economic compared to steel also, you can say. If you go for steel building, obviously it will be costly compared to the concrete. So, this is one aspect that we have to do, but even then we can find out that what is the method we have to find out. Now, we have come to materials, now we are coming to the method, that what method we shall apply to come to the definite size of the section. Finally, our objective, if we consider that analysis is very much required, but our objective finally you have to produce one drawing. The drawing you have to produce, and that drawing you will find out that having all the detailing, that what is the size of the section, what is the reinforcement detailing, that what type of bars you are providing, what is the spacing of bars. So, that is why the detailing in concrete is very important, because that your detailing, that one wrong detailing can mislead to that your say catastrophic failure, it can go to a disastrous end. We shall find out for say your cantilever beam. If we consider say cantilever beam, so this is your say cantilever beam. In other way, you are familiar just simply like this. This is your cantilever. So far you have done this type of problem, and we can apply the load, say certain load, say P, and let us say when we are talking this particular problem, then we have to find out here, first thing that we have to provide a suitable section. This beam, whenever we talk say beam if you find out there is say you can have say axial load, not I am not talking for beam, it can have say axial load, axial, bending, shear and torsion. Now different elements, the way it is oriented or configured, not necessarily it will take all the loads. So for example, this particular beam concerned, it can only that governing one, dominating one, that bending and shear. So you can find out the bending moment, diagram, and you can find out the shear force. So what we shall do, that means how we can take care of the bending, we have to provide a suitable section and you have to provide the longitudinal reinforcement. In this particular case, the top one will be in tension. Top one will be in tension, that means you have to provide reinforcement at the top. Now by mistake, if somebody gives the reinforcement at the bottom only, that top reinforcement, that one which is supposed to give, but he has given it the bottom, that means if you take out the form, that shattering, if you take out, the cantilever beam will just simply collapse, and it happens also. That particular one, it happens also. So this is called the detailing of reinforcement. Even if you calculate, still you due to just your say detailing that one at the construction site, that it will mislead to your say your disastrous end. So that's why in reinforced concrete the detailing also important. So we shall come to the different methods, and we shall start the design of beam, and we shall start with the flexure, that means for bending. We consider bending separately, shear separately, torsion, all of them we consider design separately. So for bending we shall start with bending. So next class we shall start with bending and different methods. Okay.